Welcome back to the Making the Madness YouTube channel. It's Sean here again, and today I'm going to be talking about Joel Ayayi, the Gonzaga do-it-all guard returning for his junior season. This is expected news for Mark Few's squad, but they needed some good news after losing former All-American big man Filip Petrusev. He decided to go play overseas. Although I think this loss would have been more significant to the Zags' future this season than Petrusev was, because Drew Timme, I think, is overall a better player. But I'll get into that in a second here. Joel Ayayi is a really do-it-all guard. He's going to handle the ball this season. He's a combo guard with Ryan Woolridge and Admon Gilder gone. I like what Ayayi does with the ball in his hands. He's a good playmaker, really good rebounder, good facilitator, scorer. He does it all. 10.6 a game, 6.3 boards, 3.2 assists, a steal a game, shot 34% from deep, 48% from the field. Overall, just a really good scorer. Really, he does it all, really. And that's what you need when you have so many talented players. You have Drew Timme, who I think is going to be the National Player of the Year. He's a guy who had 9 points and 5 rebounds last season, while only playing 20 minutes a game behind Petrusev last season. Now with Petrusev gone, Timme steps into that role, and then you bring in a guy like Jalen Suggs, who's a top recruit, was also a 3-star quarterback, and had plenty of offers to go play football, but he opted to go play basketball for Mark Few and Gonzaga. I think Corey Kispert will also be returning soon, with the deadline August 3rd. It seems like his decision will have to come soon. So if he returns, that starting 5 is looking like Joel Ayayi, Jalen Suggs, Corey Kispert, Anton Watson, who sat most of last season due to injury, but he's a guy who was also a top 100 recruit, and I'm a big fan of his game. He's a wing/4-man. He's athletic, quick. I just like a lot of what he does. And then you have Drew Timme at the 5. And then off the bench, you have Oumar Ballo, who people in the Gonzaga circles that I've read are very high on him. He's a 6'11", old-school big man. You know, I haven't seen much of him. He hasn't played in college. He redshirted academically last season. So if he can step into what Drew Timme did last season, maybe they can play together at some point this year. Then you have Julian Strother, who's a top 100 recruit, plays the same kind of position as Anton Watson. I could see him playing a big role. Then you have Dominic Harris, who's also a top 100 recruit. He's a combo guard, 6'4". It's just so much talent on this team. I think this is far and away the best team in college basketball still. I have no doubts about that. I know a lot of people are on the Baylor train, and rightfully so. But when you look at the consistent success of Gonzaga through the last 2 decades, it's hard to bet against them. I mean, you just look at last season, that Mark Few even said before the season, this might be his most challenging season in years, because they lose Rui Hachimura. They lose Brandon Clark early. They lost both of them early. You lose Josh Perkins. You lose Zach Norvell. They lost 4 starters from that team that lost in the Elite Eight to Texas Tech. And then they really could have won it all last season with a guy like Petrusev stepping up. Killian Tilly stayed mostly healthy. Then you had transfers like Ryan Woolridge and Admon Gilder. And they had another grad transfer off the bench this season, another guard. They get Aaron Cook from Southern Illinois. That's one thing that Mark Few has done, is just get transfers that are impact players. You look at Brandon Clark. He was a transfer from San Jose State. You look at Nigel Williams-Goss. Was a first-team All-American, transfer from Washington. You look at Geno Crandall. He was a transfer from South Dakota. That's the kind of role I see a guy like Aaron Cook playing, more like a Geno Crandall type of role than Williams-Goss. If Cook can give them 20 minutes off the bench, he's a 5th-year guy, give some experience. That's really all you need out of him. And then I just like the West Coast Conference this year. It's down. I mean, just calling it what it is, it's down this year. You have San Francisco, who I'm kind of high on, actually. I have them 3rd in the West Coast Conference. You have Jamari Boye, Khalil Shabazz, 2 senior guards who are very good. And then you have Josh Kunin, who's a high potential big man. He's 6'9", 200 pounds, big lefty. I like a lot of what he does. Then you have Julian Rishwain, a transfer from Boston College who returned home to California, so I'm expecting him to get a waiver. That's something, they're a team that can compete with Gonzaga. Then you have BYU, who lost a lot. They lost Yoli Childs, they lost TJ Haws, they lost Jake Toulson, they lost Zach Celius, who had the best mustache in college basketball. That's a lot to lose. But Mark Pope has gotten reinforcements this season. Brandon Averette, who he got at Utah Valley, who started his career at Oklahoma State, is going to be a starter for this team. Alex Barcelo, who's the best shooter in college basketball, returning. I'm a big fan of Barcelo. Started his career in Tucson under Sean Miller. Never really got it going there. Was just a role player at best, and now he could be a star. And then you have Matt Harms, who, if you ask Kentucky fans earlier in the offseason when he entered the portal, they thought he was like the next coming of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I think Harms is a fine player. I think BYU is the best spot for him. But, is he better than Drew Timme? No, he's not. Is he better than Matthias Markkanen at Loyola Marymount? I don't think so. Is he better than Ewan Masalski at San Diego? I mean, there's just a lot of players in this conference. You have Kessler Edwards at Pepperdine. There are just so many solid big men in this conference that I don't know if I'd put Harms in the top 3 of big men in this conference. But there's a lot of middling teams who could make the NIT, but they won't be a 3-bid league like last season, when you had St. Mary's, BYU, and Gonzaga, who all were safely in the tournament and all, could have made a run in the tournament. Overall, I think Joel Ayayi coming back is huge for Mark Few's squad. Gonzaga will be the number 1 team preseason. Drew Timme will be the National Player of the Year, and they have a big future ahead of them. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Sean02MT.